Give credit where credit is due. The Dallas Mavericks came out in Game 3 against the Phoenix Suns, playing at home at America Airlines Center, and came out with the energy necessary to respond in a series that you're down 0-2. So, Matthew, as we walk away from Game 3, the Phoenix Suns lose by a score of 104 to 90 or 103 to 94, a 9-point loss by those Suns. How are you feeling? Do you feel like the Suns are in trouble in this series? Are like because after the Suns lost a couple games against the Pelicans, everybody, I mean, even Kendrick Perkins is like, they're going to win in 7. You feel like Dallas is winning in 7, or do you just feel like this was kind of an aberration game?
No, not at all. For the Suns to sweep, I think I predicted last series a sweep, this series a sweep. I did say going into the playoffs, Dallas would be a tough matchup, but both of those are false. They're faulty because I don't feel the same way with the Mavericks. I still don't. There's just so much the Suns did wrong tonight that I'm just like, and I give Dallas credit, good defense. They made the big threes when they had to, but this is not the Suns. This isn't Devin Booker out there. That wasn't obviously Chris Paul. No effort from Ayton tonight at all. Mikal Bridges, he should have taken over in a lot more situations and he didn't. So just no help from anybody. Even Cameron Johnson missing some wide open threes. So if Jay's the only one really knocking down any big shots, it's going to be a long night. And that's what it was.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those aberration games, in my opinion, in which, again, like I said, Dallas came out with a certain energy. The Phoenix Suns didn't necessarily not match it, I would say. I feel like the Phoenix Suns had energy, but it was almost like a nervous energy. They turned the ball over too many times. And ultimately, you have to give Dallas credit for taking advantage of that. If a team is playing below their expected level, you should beat them. And that they did tonight. So we're going to talk about that and plenty more on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. Welcome, Jamsters. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching along live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or you're listening to this podcast at another time. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it
very much.
Yeah. Thumbs up for you guys. You can hit a thumbs up for us. Sure. Why not? You can give us a review, 5 stars, whatever. I don't care. I give you a thumbs up and a 5-star review for hanging out with us. It always takes a little bit more grit, a little bit more fandom, if you will, to talk about a loss. It's the beautiful thing about the Phoenix Suns this season. This loss right here was their 21st loss of the season. So not a lot of them. We've won, 70 games? We've lost 20. That's math. So there you go.
Yeah,
Black Sunday. Shout out to anybody who is watching along live. You can go ahead and donate in the chat. $5 from Black Sunday. He said CP sold this game, passed up a wide open 3 in the corner, and Monty didn't even use his challenge all game. Pathetic. We'll get into that and much, much more because I have some things about, like the wide open shot opportunities and the Phoenix Suns just not executing those opportunities. Yeah. But Black Sunday, appreciate that. Appreciate again everybody who's watching along live. Matthew's got a Bud Light to crack open. I've got a Center sugar-free sparkling CBD drink. Let's CBD this bitch up. I don't think there's any corn syrup in here, Matthew. Let me see here. Because Matthew's like, he's like, I can't have beer with corn in it.
Yeah, well, you can't get high off CBD, so just
but you can relax, man. This just has carbonated water, natural citrus flavor, CBD isolate, and lemon juice concentrate. So there you go. Jamsters, if you're hanging out with us tonight, pop them if you got them. That was such a lame twist.
So weak. I actually twisted off a little bit before.
Let's talk about this game against the Dallas. A lot of opportunity exists for the Phoenix Suns moving forward as they lose to the Dallas Mavericks in Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals by a final score of 103 to 94. Which brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask. Did every guy not named Jae Crowder take the night off to celebrate CP3's birthday tonight?
Yes, and they're probably celebrating right now because from the look of it, Chris Paul was he knew it was over. I think as soon as that one pass that went out of bounds off of whoever it was, one of those tall white guys, and Devin Booker, threw it off of him, and it was totally tipped out from the Mavericks. It didn't go to Suns' way, and after that, you can see on Chris Paul's face, just like, this game's whatever. So we have to accept that, at Chris Paul's age, because he is 37 now, there are games he can't fill the shoes of what Devin Booker should be providing every night. So he's not gonna bring it like he can every night, like he did last time. So I accept the fact that we might have some scheduled losses now in the playoffs. There might just be those scheduled losses where if they can't bring it and the other team's knocking down some wide open threes, then there's nothing the Suns can do. And they play their best. They get screwed over a little bit by the refs, just a tiny, 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 tiny bit. And that's just the way this game goes. And we just have to accept it, man. No sweeps, I feel like, in the future for the Suns, at least this year.
I really thought this was the series they were going to sweep.
Me too.
And, you looked at everything coming into this game. CP3 turns 37 today. So happy birthday to CP3. The birthday present that he gets is no Scott Foster as a referee. And you're like, oh my God, like, this is fantastic. I could have swore that the NBA, in its typical dickish fashion, would have put Scott Foster as the referee for this game. Didn't get that. But what they did get was a Dallas team that definitely read the Bright Side of the Sun article I put out called the Luka Rules, right? And the Luka Rules pretty much stated that the Phoenix Suns are not going to double Luka early. They're going to let him, but they're going to take away all other scoring options, and they're going to make him work to put up 24 points in the first half. And the second half, they'll start to double, and then in the fourth quarter, they'll attack him on defense. And in the first quarter in this game, it was kind of a best-case scenario for the Mavericks, right? Because Luka Doncic goes 3 from 10, still was kind of working, but he had 7 points and he had 5 assists because Jalen Brunson, 4 for 7, 10 points in that quarter. So he gets somebody else to help him out offensively. Simultaneously, the Phoenix Suns have 4 turnovers in the first quarter and give up 8 points off of those turnovers. The Mavericks score 14 of their 29 points in the paint in the first quarter and rebound the Suns and have 6 second chance points. So it's kind of that perfect storm. Everything that Dallas needed to go right in this game. Luka Doncic is scoring, but somebody else is scoring with him. They're actually hitting the boards and getting second chance points. And the Suns are turning the ball over, happened to start this game. And ultimately, the Suns never fully recovered from that first quarter. They end up, trailing by 7 at halftime. At the end of 3 quarters, they're down by 15, and then they're down 9 to end the game. It was the first quarter that really set the tone, much akin to the other games in this series where the Suns did that to the Mavericks.
Yeah, and it seemed like, because we came into the Twitter spaces thinking, this isn't that big of a deal. What the Mavericks are doing right now, we were comfortable. You had your CVD, you're feeling very good. I had my Bud Lights, and everything was good. We were like, put some more buds on the ice, because this is going to be a nice little victory. But it wasn't that, because the Suns had an opportunity with Jae Crowder really setting up from 3. They were down by 5, entering the third quarter, and I was like, oh, that 3 goes down, we're down by 2. He misses it, and all chaos. It's just, the out of bounds play with Devin Booker, but there was just so much that went into the Mavericks getting second chance opportunities. If they didn't make their first attempt, they would get another chance, whether it's the refs, whether it's the offensive rebound. That felt a lot like the Pelicans games last series. And then I was like, all right, this might be game. This might just be one of those where the Suns can't, if they don't get the first stop, then it's over. Because as soon as the Mavericks get a second opportunity, they're going to make that wide open 3. And they kept doing that. And all of a sudden, it went from a 2-point game that should have been to a 14-point game. They kind of pulled like a little bit of what the Suns can do to teams, right?
They can do it quick.
Quarter last game, they did it quick, and it was quite impressive, man. And it's a lot of effort from the Mavericks. We just didn't get those big shots and the big boards. And I know we'll talk about DeAndre Ayton, but like, just the effort on the boards wasn't really there. I can just say it wasn't. And then anytime the Mavericks had an opportunity to grab that board, it always seemed like it was for the reason it was a long board, because they were shooting the threes. The long rebounds kept going to their hands. And I was just like, oh, man, this is just like last series. I felt as soon as we got done Twitter spaces and that happened with the 14-point lead, I was like, this is over. This just does not feel like the Suns can make a stop. I had that feeling inside of me.
Yeah, it was just a weird game that, like I said, everything kind of went right. Like Mikal Bridges is missing bunnies, multiple bunnies.
Yes.
Chris Paul, who is known for his assist to turnover ratio in the first half, has a total of 7 points and 7 turnovers. So again, it's just this odd game that I don't think there's anybody like I don't see anybody in the chat who's just like, fuck, we're screwed. There's multiple things that didn't go right, yes, but they're not trends. They're not things that necessarily the Mavericks forced. I will give the Mavericks credit. The way they played the passing lanes was much more effective tonight on defense. They were jumping the pick and roll on defense as well. And I think that they did a really, really good job of disrupting the Suns after the Suns already started to disrupt themselves. But that's what it comes down to for me, is the Phoenix Suns really did a not good job, if you will. That would be translated as a bad job of just simply executing their offense. They were having a hard time executing their offense. If you look at the statistics, they gave up 33% from beyond the arc. The Mavericks only shot 44.4% in this game. Those are sustainable numbers that normally can equate to a victory. But when you look at the fact that they had 14 more shot attempts than we did, they made 6 more field goals than we did, because the Phoenix Suns had 17 turnovers to their 8. Because the Dallas Mavericks had those second chance points. They had 16 second chance points to the Phoenix Suns 10. Those are the things that are going to equate to losses. Those are the things that say to me, we beat ourselves tonight.
Mm-hmm. And you think the Suns can kind of get away with the slow start, the turnovers, usually. But then we kind of learned last series, like, no, it's not going to be that way. Last series, we got the slow starts and ended up with a loss. This is exactly how the game played out. And a lot of the turnovers too, they were just really quick, and they were back to back to back to back. It seemed like even like Devin Booker and setting up the offense, trying to find the right pass, make the right play. It was never there. Anytime the Suns had an opportunity to kind of jump down to maybe 8 points to an 8-point deficit or even 7, they couldn't figure it out. They did play like they went out last night, like they were hanging out in the clubs for Chris Paul's birthday. It just seemed like they were totally hungover in this game. And we can make excuses, but we just know the Suns' effort when it's there. It seems like Mikal Bridges is the only one that like went to bed early and then slept in, and Jae Crowder maybe too, but I feel like Jae Crowder would actually knock down some threes even hungover or even drunk. So I feel like he can play drunk, hungover, or just sober.
It's Jae Crowder.
Yeah, I mean, this was Jae Crowder's night, man. I mean, we talked about it on Twitter Spaces at halftime. So for those of you who joined us for that Suns jam session at the half, we appreciate it. And one of the things we talked about was how Jae Crowder, again, at the half had 11 points. It was 4 or 5 from the field and 3 from deep. Like at that point, he had 25% of the Suns' 44 total points. And we were just like, holy shit, like that's how you know it's just a different night. Now, don't get me wrong. He had 15 points at halftime in the last game, and he ended with 15. And in this one, I said he'd end with 13. You thought he was going to go have one of those like 8 for 9 from beyond the arc kind of nights. He kind of landed somewhere in the middle. He was 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, 7 of 12 in this game, had a total of 19 points to lead all Phoenix Suns scorers. Now, note that every member of the Phoenix Suns who was a starter had double digits in this game, but the bench just didn't really show up as kind of per usual. What'd you see from Jae Crowder tonight? And why didn't he punch Luka? I could have swore he was going to get into a fight with Luka. Like he was starting to get into like he was kind of there, right? It was just
because I don't think getting into Luka's face and getting into his game, like into his mind to affect his game, I don't really think that's something that has to happen, because I think Luka was already kind of doing it. He felt Luka was on the floor after a call. That should have been a technical. He sat down on the floor in front of the ref. That's not a technical.
He took like half an hour to get off the court after his 5th foul. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know if that 5th foul was valid.
And he's doing the money thing.
He's doing the money thing twice, where he's like they're being paid off. Like
they're being paid off.
If Devin Booker looks at the opponent after a slam dunk, he's teed up. But like Luka can like lay down, money up.
Yep. Luka could probably like shit in his own mouth and be like, that's fine. Get back to the bench.
That's adorable. Like, let's show him watching the game.
Cute. Yeah. Hey, let's see. Yeah. But okay. So they should have kept feeding Jae. There's a thing where he went off. It was in the second half after we talked about. I'm like, oh, he'll go 8 for 9, and I really wanted that to happen just so I can gloat and we get the win. Because if we would have got those threes, we probably would have won the game. But you got to keep feeding him. And we'll talk about Booker later. But Booker, there's times where Jay's open on the top of the key for three, and Booker he's too late with his passes, man. His passes to Jay need to be on time and like right away.
Yeah.
When Jay's grooving and he even has like
Get
a
him the
little
ball.
pull-up jumper, just give him the ball. Nothing else is working. Like, as much as we want the old Booker back before that baby fist bumped him, it's probably not going to have him for a little bit. I still think he's not all the way there. So you have to rely on someone like Jay. Jay needs more opportunity, and he had a lot tonight, but I wanted even more. I wanted it to be either we ride or die by Jay, and we basically died early because we stopped giving him the ball. Like, just keep giving the ball when he's hot. That's the only thing I asked. And he could have probably went maybe 7 for 10 tonight. Who knows? From 3.
Well, I tell you, a big turnaround from the New Orleans Pelicans series, right? Because one of the challenges, obviously, we had in that series was the fact that it felt like no one on the Phoenix Suns could score outside of, Devin Booker and Chris Paul. 1 point in game 1, 5 points in game 2. He had 10 points in game 3, 11 points in game 4, 9 points in game 5, 9 points in game 6. In this series, he's got 11, 15, and 19. What do you think it is about this matchup that allows Jae Crowder to be successful?
Can I just say nothing? Can I just say it's just Jae Crowder? Like, I think the intensity of the game, maybe it slowed down. Like, even the threat of the fans and stuff there in Dallas, they have good fans, but it's not like the way it was with the Pelicans in New Orleans. I feel like even when I was annoyed with this game, it was never the fans, because with the Pelicans, I was like, dude, shut the fuck up with those fans. This time, it's more calm. I think Jay is just in a groove, and he's never really had those back-to-back games where he is 11, 15, and 19 points in a row.
Yeah.
But he's kind of found himself. He's kind of made up for last series already. So we kind of wasted the 19-point game from him. Who knows if we'll get it back?
Yeah, this is true. Now, shifting gears, obviously, Luka Doncic is a big point of emphasis for this team. He's probably the best player in this series. I don't think that I'm going out of bounds by saying that. Luka Doncic is a fantastic talent. I think that obviously the Phoenix Suns are the better team, and ultimately that's going to win out. But I thought it was really interesting how they made some of the adjustments. Now, granted, some of them were self-imposed adjustments. Like Luka was fishing for those fouls early, right? Like
yeah,
he was trying to draw fouls rather than make shots. I did think it was kind of funny when he came across and elbowed Chris Paul right in the face, and Chris Paul put his face back, that Luka Doncic started doing the head bobbing thing, like, look, he's fake. It's like, dude, you've been doing that the entire first half, bro. Like, again, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. And then obviously he was in foul trouble in this game, which was something a little bit different. And the substitution patterns were something that I noticed that Jason Kidd kind of changed up in this game. In the first quarter, he has Luka Doncic play the entire 12 minutes, right? In the second quarter, he lets him sit for the first 5 minutes. He brings him in with seven minutes left. And it was the second half when those substitution patterns really changed. Typically, he'll play kind of a longer third and then, again, get that break at the end of the third and come in about 7-minute mark in the fourth quarter. In this game, he played 6 minutes and 46 seconds in the third quarter, so they kind of pulled him early. And then in the fourth quarter, they brought him back earlier with 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes left in the game. What do you think that does to benefit Luka Doncic in this series if they change those substitution patterns?
Oh, well, I'll be absolutely...
It doesn't matter!
Sorry,
thank you. I was going to say it doesn't matter. I was going to say, to be absolutely honest, it doesn't matter.
It mattered tonight.
I almost got you. That was a good way to set it up, though, man, because I don't pay attention to the opposing
You pay attention at the end of the podcast. That's what I noticed. It's like after the 30-minute mark, you're just sitting there waiting for me to ask you questions because I'm going to populate you on.
No, I meant during the game. I don't pay attention to like the opposing team, who they're coming in with. You know what I mean? What time, what the markers. I do it for the Suns. But I wouldn't know that, dude. Trying to set me up.
And School of Understanding says in the chat, it's like it's because of the foul trouble from Luka Doncic. That's kind of what dictated these.
Yep.
I'm sorry, folks. It was all a setup just to get
it was all
on the name. Doesn't matter.
You sacrificed so much of the pod for that, too.
I know. I gave up. This is a really good question. Like I knew the answer, but like yes, it was this. It all comes down to the foul. So tell me what you saw again. Luka Doncic, and I'm not going to hit you with it doesn't matter, I promise. But Luka Doncic, one of the things that people were critical of him over the past 2 games in this series was the fact that he wasn't aggressive enough on defense. He was a little bit more aggressive, and he got called for it tonight.
Yeah, and I'll side with the Mavericks fans on this one. A lot of those calls are bullshit.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, he got me good. Metal Mike, good job, Voida. Got that fucker good. He got me really good. And like I had to put
Small
up with 40
victories,
more
yo.
40 more minutes of myself just being just absolutely dismantled over
Just
here. Just not even a
demolished.
man, just a
Just,
little
who
boy
are
over
you?
here. A little boy girl. Luka is all right. So we're talking about his defense. So the fouls, honestly, he didn't commit a lot of them. I feel like a lot of them were kind of just the Suns messing around. They were bullshit fouls for Luka. So I didn't want him in foul trouble and the Suns to actually win the game. Be like, well, it's super fucking those fouls. And they were shitty foul calls. So, but it went both ways, a lot of it. And the defense from Luka, he can only do so much. I think it's the effort you want to put against him. Luka can't even the beginning of the game, Jay blew right by him. I don't feel like there was a lot of opportunity, even at the end when Chris Paul set up Mikal Bridges on that little dunk attempt that led to a foul. He almost posterized the dude. Like, there's a lot you can do with Luka out there on the perimeter. The defense just isn't there. I don't know what that is. I don't know how much Luka can improve defensively in the series, but it's not noticeable to me to where I'm just like, yeah, Luka played great defense tonight. It wasn't that for me, right? Or was he actually sticking on dudes and doing a good job?
There was a couple plays I noticed where he was jumping the switches a little earlier, and that was the defensive effort that you, if you're a Mavs fan, hoped you would see. But also, that being said, because of the efforts of Jalen Brunson, Luka didn't have to expend as much on the offensive end.
True.
You look at his final box score, he's 26 points on 25 total shots, so he wasn't efficient. He had 13 total rebounds, and he had 9 assists. Jalen Brunson was 10 of 21 for 28 points. So he took a lot of that pressure off of him. And then you look at the fact that Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock combined for 8 for 21 from beyond the arc. Okay, so that's the perfect scenario for the Mavericks, right? On offense, you have Jalen Brunson doing some of the scoring and getting down in the paint as well. And when Luka does take it to the basket, if he doesn't have a shot at making a field goal, he's dishing it out to his perimeter guys and they're hitting threes. That's the way that their offense is designed. And it clicked tonight. On top of the fact that the Suns couldn't hold the ball, so they had more opportunities. And the Suns, the Suns couldn't hold the ball passing. They couldn't grab the ball on rebounds. Apparently, every time they tipped the ball and it went out of bounds, even if it was off the Mavericks, it was like off of the Suns still. And Spencer did win it. He's like running out of bounds, and they're like inbounds.
Yeah,
and then they hit a 3 because of that, right?
What a tightrope, huh?
Yeah, what a tightrope that Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, he could play for the Cowboys. Stay there in Dallas. Let Dak throw him the ball, because it's just all of these little things. And yeah, Monty didn't challenge any of that shit tonight, which is disappointing, right? There was about 4 things that he could have challenged. And every one of them would have went the Suns' way and changed momentum, because every time one of those ticky-tack little things, Spencer Dinwiddie running on the sideline ends up getting a dunk the other way. The tip ball, they inbound it, hit a 3. That another ball that went out off of them, inbound, hit a 2. It's just like those total points is like 11 points in this game. And Monty, if he had just called a timeout and challenged, would have changed some of the momentum.
Yeah, and they gave him plenty of time, especially that one off a book where that really turned the game. And that's where I was like, dude, this is just going to be one of those games like last series. You think in the time where Monty's sitting there and he's just like, you know what, we'll let this one go. We'll get back into it. I think that's why he doesn't usually call timeouts too much when the other team goes on runs. He's like, the Suns, like, I have a team that can definitely, get back in the game on their own. They don't need me to coach them up. He's like, let's save the timeout. But I think he thinks that too much. And like that instance, you don't think that's the game, but like that was the game of that turnover. So it leads to a 3, right? It's just everything, like you said, was off of the Mavericks. It seemed like it went to the Mavericks. It was their possession. They would get a 3. They'd be wide open. The Suns' effort was terrible trying to get out to the perimeter to stop them. But Monty needs to call the timeouts. Like I think it was basically when I thought, it was almost a 2-point lead for the Mavericks entering the third quarter. Then it went to 14. But before that, they were only up by like 9, and they hit 2 threes in a row. I'm like, timeout. That's when he called timeout, and he doesn't do that. And I don't think it really cost him, because I think in the end, the Suns probably would have just lost it anyways because they didn't have it tonight. I don't think a timeout would have saved them at all. But those are times when, again, in a game like this, you need to do it, because you need any little thing to help your team. And just that wasted timeout might have
Yeah.
helped the team get a little bit closer. It might have still been a loss, but just it would have kept them more into the game. And that's what we need from Monty. But I mean, other than that, man, he's been fantastic all playoffs, I feel like.
He has, without a doubt. And again, this is just a missed opportunity because in that environment, you're 100% correct. In that environment, that's something that calms the crowd a little bit. And like, yeah, they'll get a little bit loud after they come back from timeout, but it fades. It's not that consistent rolling energy. And we've seen it. Like Willie Green was doing a great job of that against the Suns in the first round. So there was about 3 or 4 opportunities I feel like Monty Williams definitely missed in this game to slow that momentum. And I'm not going to say it cost us the game, but it definitely is something that didn't help us in this game. One question I have for you.
Yes.
I was thinking about this today because you saw that Reggie Bullock and the Dallas Mavericks are starting to really get in tune with what the New Orleans Pelicans were doing to CP3. And that is having that full court pressure and having Jae Crowder bring up the ball. Now, obviously, it's a bad game to ask this question, especially considering in the first half he had 7 turnovers. But note that in the second half, CP3 had 0 turnovers. So maybe this is somewhat valid. Do you think it's a good strategy to do? Because it doesn't necessarily tire CP3 out because he's not taking up the ball. Like the Suns are just content with being like, yeah, we'll have Jae Crowder bring it up.
Well, last pod, I thought, it's good to do because you want the offense out of whack. Whether or not Chris Paul wants to start the offense with 16 or 15 seconds, I guess that's his own deal. That's something where I kind of hate. I'm like, just get the ball down court, dude. Start your offense. So that's limiting the Suns from second chance. I feel like opportunities of shot clock violation, 3 seconds, 2 seconds to shoot something, especially when the defense like the Mavericks are kind of going off and playing with a lot more energy than like last game. But it kind of just it derails the Suns offense a little bit. And Chris Paul, you can see the smirk. He's just like, yeah, whatever. We'll just give it to somebody else. But they want to take him. They don't want him to have the ball because he is that guy, right? He is our best player right now in the series, obviously. I mean, Book still is not the same player. So
he's still
they
not
know
there,
a lot. They know a lot. Even 30 points last game. Like, it's not the same Book. And they know that a lot's going to go through Chris Paul. So take it out of his hands. So I understand why they're doing that because Chris Paul might like it. I think his big booty might like that rubbing on all the way up and down the court. I feel like he does.
Friction, baby.
That's where his sensors are, right? His really good sensors. And I don't even know what I'm talking about, but there's some drunk dude in Dallas I think we got bringing in right now.
Well, I'll tell you this. We have a guy who was at the game. Okay, we sent him out there the Suns game session, put him up in a hotel. We paid for his ticket, but like we charged him, and he was there. You know him as Coach Evan B from the He's on Fire podcast. Coach, you were at the game tonight. I'm sorry that you had to experience a Suns loss. How you feeling? What was the environment like? And where you at right now? Just chilling?
Oh, I'm in my hotel room, John. You know all about that, I'm sure.
Yes, that hotel life. I don't miss it.
No, that sucked. Like, that sucked for your first playoff game to go to. That was awful. I mean, I don't even want to get into the refs. I mean, I actually ended up sitting right next to a Suns fan, which was really cool. We were just chatting the whole game and whatnot. That was fun. Actually met quite a few Suns fans giving high fives and whatnot, but like the tip passes that went out were annoying. And every time there was an air ball or a bad shot, there was some sort of stupid tip out that were, the one where Luka caught it when he was on his ass at the free throw line, or an air ball, and then that would lead to a 3. There were so many weird things, and for Chris Paul to come out like that on his birthday was really, really surprising. But for the record, the Utah Jazz home crowd is way louder than the Dallas Mavericks. Could be a bigger arena. It could be the acoustics. I don't know. But just for what it's worth.
It's not the same. I even feel like when Nowinski was there, that crowd was annoying as shit watching those games. But tonight, I was telling John earlier on this pod that you're on right now that, it wasn't the same. It was not the same. I didn't feel annoyance from sitting at my apartment, just listening to it. I'm like, this isn't really driving me crazy. I can care less. So it's good to hear that up close. It was the same way. That's really strange.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people talking shit to you?
No, actually, believe it or not, no. I don't know if anybody's ever
Pussies.
been to that arena.
No one wrangled you? Huh? No one hogtied you?
As you walk in, they have like this plaza with a bunch of restaurants and stuff on either side, and went up to the bar and had one Mavs fan actually buy me a shot. Welcome to the Big D, and they bought me a shot, and Had drinks with a
Nice.
couple other people, and we were just talking it up. And nobody there thought they were going to win, by the way. Nobody thought they
Yeah.
were going to win. They all
Yeah.
saw what was going on. But once you're in the game, seeing all the calls that went against the Mavericks that were legitimate calls, like charges and things like that, they were rowdy. They were rambunctious, as you should be. But it's like he was literally moving when it was a charge. Like, how can you even debate that? It's funny to watch their reactions to things, and they acted just like Luka, man. They acted just like Luka. It was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, there's got to be some semblance of knowledge here somewhere. and it was not to be had.
Well, I'm sorry you had to experience that, but hey, at least on the bright side,
Nothing.
like, Dallas is nice this time of year. I don't know.
Yeah,
What's
it's hot as
It
shit
was
too, right?
hot as shit
It's humid
today.
too, right?
It was hot
Yeah.
and humid today.
It's worse over there,
Fuck,
dude.
man. I'm trying
But
to
I
find
mean-
Or
But I
concrete.
mean, what was the final score again?
they lost by 9,
105 to
103.
106.
No,
something like that.
103 to 94.
So we had like 17 turnovers, all
Yes.
these awful calls going out of bounds that were called in the Mavericks' favor. We shot pretty poorly most of the game. Chris Paul had 9 points and 4 or 5 assists. We had all these things go bad, and we still only lost by 9. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm looking for a bright side of the sun, it's going to be that.
Well played there. Well played. Well, Coach, we appreciate hopping on here for a little bit. We'll send you to the next series, okay, and have you pay for it.
Sounds good, fellas.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Again, that's Coach Evan B from the He's on Fire podcast.
D-backs won. Very good.
Yeah, Merrill
Hey,
Kelly
there is
had like
that.
8 innings and 1 run, so there's that. So.
Should have gone to that game.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Coach. Good having you on.
See you, man.
Always awesome having Coach on. Poor guy, man. I feel bad. Like he goes to the game and then like he gets an L.
That's the way it happens. You get
It
so
always
excited, you go
is
to
like
those
that.
things. Yeah. If I ever go to see the Cowboys play, they're gonna get their ass whooped, which always happens. But
Yeah, well, I've seen the
this
Cowboys
person's
play
back in
the
the
Cardinals,
chat.
and my team always loses. Listen,
well, I guess I guess John is totally gone. I was trying to block out this naked HD person right here, but he is completely gone. So let's go ahead and go into the next segment. I might actually just go ahead and start something. No, he's already coming back. John,
there.
that was funny. What?
Jesus, you block somebody in the chat, then like, I'm gone.
Oh,
Oh, what the?
yeah. What the hell happened, man? Are we getting
I have-
hacked over here?
I have no idea what's going
Should
on,
we call
but
CIA.
I'm going to do something that I swore I wouldn't do. I'm going to try to go with a reverse jinx because it isn't happening right now for Cameron Payne.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to play his drop, even though I said I would not play his drop on this podcast until he scored 15 points in a game. I don't think it's ever going to happen unless we play it again. So try to do some of that reverse juju.
Here comes the pain.
I don't know what else to do for Cameron Payne right now. You look at tonight, and he ends with a total of how many minutes played? Let's see here. Cameron Payne. That's the first quarter.
14 minutes.
14 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 4, 0 for 2 from beyond the arc. He's a -3. He would have been a -6 if Landry Shamet didn't hit that shot at the very end of the game, which, by the way, thank you for that, Landry, because live betting going into the fourth quarter, the Suns were plus 11.5, and they were down 12. And then Landry hit the 3 at the end. And I'm like, all right, sweet. At least they covered that. But Cameron Payne, I like what B says in the chat. I miss Cameron Payne. I miss Cameron Payne. Okay, he hasn't been the same. He's looked horrible in this playoffs. And it's not like he's missing tough contested shots. He missed a wide open layup. He missed a wide open midi. He missed wide open 3-pointers. He's not playmaking. He's not scoring. He's not a benefit, and you need him to be so. Now, granted, the Suns are going into game 4, and they're up 2-1. So there's no reason for Monty Williams to say, hey, drastic change time. Right now, if this series was 1-2, if we're down 0-3, I think he would make some sort of change relative to his backup point guard. It's not going to happen yet, but it needs to happen at some point, especially in this series where they have smaller guards. I can see Aaron Holiday being a factor, but Cameron Payne has not been a factor this entire playoffs, and it's disappointing.
No, it's bad. And we talked about Aaron Holiday's playmaking is just not there too. Like he turns the ball over, he gets caught up in the air. But hey, we're seeing the same stuff with Payne. We're seeing the same exact thing where he gets jumped. He did have an assist. He had the 3 assists, but he had 1 assist off of one where he should have just went up for the layup.
Yeah,
left side of the hoop, and
but he doesn't have confidence in that.
No, he found Mikal Bridges the last second before he was caught for traveling by jumping up in the air. There's just, Monty said it during one of the timeouts, like get to the rim, keep driving. And I feel like he just has to, like, that's just his game, drive and kick.
Yeah.
But he has to know what he's doing because he doesn't know what he's doing right now offensively at all. He's the one guy you don't want to be psyched out mentally on this team, right? I feel like all the other dudes, maybe no, not Shamit. Every other dude mentally, like if they're having a bad game, a bad stretch of games like a Jae Crowder did in the first series, they come back and they help out. Cameron Payne gets so deep into a hole, it's just impossible for him to dig himself out.
Yeah.
He continues to make the wrong play. And even he had a 3 tonight where he was covered and he just jacked it up off the back of the rim.
Just a bad possession.
Like what? Like even Book had some of those too. It's just, and they're wasted too. When you can't really stop Dallas from scoring each time. I'm not saying they score on the first possession, but Dallas, they don't come back down and play defense unless they get a bucket. When that's happening and you're wasting plays like that, that just is what kills the Suns. So it's something where we need him to step up. And like I said last series, I'm like, we need to see in the playoff, in this series preview, I was like, we have to see that Payne. Alfred Payne. Someone just said Payne. Damn. Payne is the guy that can lead us in the second series or in the third round too, like just to help us, right?
Precisely. And that's why Monty's going to continue to play Payne because he wants him to get out of the funk. But I'm telling you, it's painful. Ooh. There's the
no
title.
One's ever used that, right?
There's the title of your Bright Side of the Sun article that'll be coming out tomorrow. It's painful watching Cameron operate thus far in the playoffs. Wah, wah, wah. Writing that one.
He's going to read it and get even more depressed, right?
Good. No, hopefully he reads it and he goes, fuck this guy.
But that's him. Like, he's like, but I think he does that. He's like, fuck this. Like, I'm good. But that's too much. He needs to chill. And you saw Cameron Johnson even tap him on the chest, like, hey, relax.
Yeah.
Like, he even told him, like, you can see him. He's like, relax. But it's not enough. This guy is just, he's playing out of his mind in the worst way. Like, you usually say that about a guy going off for 40, playing out of his mind, but he's outside. He's having like an out of body experience where he's just in the stands eating hot dogs and choking on them or something. I don't know what he's doing.
He's up there deep throwing hot dogs. It sucks too, because we're all such great Cameron Payne fans, but he's a 0 in this series. He's a 0 in this playoffs. And again, when Aaron Holiday played minutes against the Pelicans, they were positive minutes. There was energy. Again, he's not the greatest playmaker, but he's going to give you something. And that's more than Cam Payne's doing right now. He's nothing. The number one issue I had in this game with the Suns, and Cameron Payne kind of personified this, is they weren't attacking. Every chance they had to attack mismatches, especially like Dorian Finney-Smith goes flying into the second row in a play. The Suns have a 5-on-4, and they pass the ball around 3 times. They let the Dallas defense get set, and Cam Payne was the same way. I felt like the Phoenix Suns were playing like Isaiah Canaan tonight. And for those of you who go way back to the beginning of our podcast, I used to always talk about how Isaiah Canaan was the one-man fast break stopper for the Suns. They'd have a 3-on-1 running down the court. Isaiah Canaan's running point. And instead of attacking the defense or just dishing it to one of the wings who was wide open, he would dribble towards the defender and then just pull it out and let the entire defense come back to be 5-on-5. That's what you saw tonight. You mentioned it a little bit earlier with Devin Booker, the way that his passes to Jae Crowder were late and not in the right spot. That was the Phoenix Suns all night tonight. They had no confidence in just taking the ball to the rim or attacking the mismatches in front of them. Instead, they just pass out of it. They feel like everybody was going to have a better shot, and ultimately they weren't getting the best of looks. And when they did get those good looks, they were missing easy shots. So again, all of this is a recipe for the Suns to be successful moving forward in the series. It's just disappointing to watch tonight because, you want to win every game. We're fans.
Yeah, and, if you're thinking about it in the way where, if this is all Klay Thompson's out there right now, you might be right. Because the shock value right now of the Suns in this game was basically everyone looked like Klay out there, just very indecisive, heads down, just not really understanding what your role is. That was tonight. And it's so weird how you go from 60 Well, it makes sense not to go 64% from shooting again in the next game,
Yeah.
but this bad.
Yeah, that's not
it's
sustainable. But and
it's a
again, the
little
Suns didn't
shocking.
have the worst game offensively. You look, they shot 44%. They
No, they were right
outshot.
there with Dallas. They were
Yeah.
there. It was just the turnovers and
It was
the
just
second chance,
boneheaded
dude.
plays and not attacking. Because again,
Mhm.
another key point in this game, right? 7 minutes left in the second quarter. The Phoenix Suns have the Dallas Mavericks in foul trouble. The Phoenix Suns have the bonus with 7 minutes left in the second quarter, and they're losing.
Mhm.
They go for the remainder of the period 2 of 2 from the free throw line. They didn't attack. They didn't attack them. They had them in foul trouble. They had an opportunity to put easy points on the board. When you're down in these games, and the Phoenix Suns are normally very good at this, when they're down in games and they have an opportunity to get to the foul line, they focus on that. They do anything they can to get there because they know it's easy points, and they just stopped attacking. They continue to just pass the ball around and then just, throw up a shitty shot.
Yeah, what was like with Chris Paul taking on Luka Doncic too last game over and over and over again. When you find something that works, just continue to do that. When they're in foul trouble, you're in the bonus, then keep going that way.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you're trying to do other things. Like this game's not about getting Booker or someone in a groove, right? Or Ayton's not really there. Why try to feed him? He didn't look comfortable anywhere he was on the floor. So just keep working the refs. Like the refs were on your side a lot of the times. I feel like the Suns tonight, they got a lot of fouls tonight where I feel like they weren't fouls. So keep working that. Keep going that way and slow the game down.
Yeah, I mean, you look at total fouls, it was 19-14. The Mavericks had more fouls than the Suns. But when Luka Doncic came back in and that was a key period of the game where he has 6 or 5 fouls, you have an opportunity to attack him like you did in the first game and try to manipulate that 6th foul and get points on the board for doing so. It just, they didn't take advantage of it. And tell me it wasn't annoying watching Luka Doncic on the split screen when he was out with 5 fouls, watch the game. Like, what was that about? You tweeted that out. Yeah. What was that about? Like, why do we have to sit there and watch Luka watch the game? Like, is ESPN got that much of a hard on for Luka Doncic?
I have no idea. Like, what am I supposed to think of that?
Like, we're watching a guy. This dude watch the game.
You can see him on the court watching the game. You can see him when they'll have court. He's standing there watching it. I don't even know what to think of that. Another reason I'm not watching basketball next year.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. Oh, I almost
Wait, are you doing it? Are you? Do we do?
We're both doing it, bro.
We're both doing the stakeout.
So here's what happened tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew was supposed to do the subreddit stakeout, but he didn't.
I sat there, my fat ass, and was drinking Bud Lights. I was like,
he's drinking his non-corn.
Non-corn.
He's like, did I forget something? So the subreddit stakeout. So a couple of things I wanted to point out. One person on the Mavericks subreddit. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, we like to go undercover. Matthew and I will go to the subreddit of the opposing team and read their comments and share them with you, Suns fans, to let you know what they're saying. At the same time, we'll downvote some of their stupid shit just to piss them off. So here's one. It was bullet points. Somebody said, Suns not in 4. Fuck their chant and arrogance. Mikal Bridges is too damn small. Chris Paul is too damn small and will never win a ring. Ayton is not the best center on the Suns roster. Booker is the second coming of Donovan Mitchell, an inefficient scorer who gets overmatched on defense. We got this. This is now officially a series. Could you be even more off with a take than everything that person just said? Like, go down that. Suns not in 4. Fuck their chant and arrogance. Okay, that one's valid. Okay, it can't be Suns in 4. Statistically, I get it. Mikal Bridges is too damn small. Not true. Chris Paul is too damn small and will never win a ring. I hope that's not true. Ayton is not even the best center on the Suns roster. True. False. Booker is the second coming of Donovan Mitchell. Go fuck yourself. An inefficient scorer who gets overmatched on defense. He's efficient and he's a great defensive match. He's a great defensive guard. Could you be any more wrong?
Totally wrong. Maybe just one game. Who knows? Should I read my little ones that I did late?
What do you got, Matthew?
Taz from WWF. Taz. So they said, screw the haters and doubters. Nobody beats the Mavs 12 times in a row. Nobody. That was good.
That's great. right. I forgot.
was
Yeah, it's the
actually
first
really
time.
good.
It's the first time the Mavs have beat the Suns.
When
That's
Chris,
so
when Chris,
funny. That's so
dude,
funny.
I know. I think that was the best one, dude. Fuck Jae Crowder, fuck the Suns, fuck Devin Booker, Mavs in 6, baby. This team wasn't good offensively, but we beat them because of our defense. Also, refs were horrendous this game. So that's kind of like the Mavericks being like, hey, we kind of get away with one right there. Devin Booker and Chris Paul should change their names to Ben and Jerry's because they know all about soft serve. I didn't know what that meant, so I just grabbed that one. 2 seconds before the pod.
I like ice cream too. Oh well. Quick shout out to John Bloom. John Bloom hooked me up with both.
Did you just bring one over?
He brought just the one purple one over. So
I'm just after one game, I get nothing. Huh?
Well, I mean, I asked him late, but he hooked up a couple of these towels that were at the playoffs. So shout out to Bloomer, a true Suns fan there. Ladies and gentlemen, that was your subreddit stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. Whew, quality podcasting right there, ladies and gentlemen. Quality podcasting. Other notes that I had from this game. Let's see. So at Keep It Real Luke on Twitter said, "Yo, at Suns Jam, you got to talk about the physicality of Brunson and Doncic, and when it's reciprocated by Bridges or Paul in the same play at the same time, we get the call. What can they do with that?" So essentially, I think what he's saying is the way that Luka and Jalen Brunson attack the interior and jump into players and get calls, like CP3 and Devin Booker don't get those calls. So what can we do? Like
they don't do it though.
Yeah, they don't do it with the same ferocity that
Booker did it twice tonight, which was very rare. Like he hasn't done that forever. Like the one where he got against Doncic, where he kind of threw the ball up and he went underneath him. That like those fouls, those suck. If you're a Mavericks fan and that's Doncic's like 4th foul, because it's not even really a foul. Like Booker throws himself in, but the Suns don't do that. That's why when he got in the bonus with 7 minutes left in the third, it's like, did it even matter? Like it was like I was excited for it, but they went away from it. So the Suns they're not that team still. They're not that team to get to the line.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity to get free points.
It's gonna kill us. It's gonna kill us, man.
In a game like this, you definitely need it.
I don't want to go to the next series.
Oh, I do.
No.
Oh, I do. Because that's a series, man. So we'll hand out a little bit of hardware right now.
Jam Star of the Game.
Reminder, Jamsters, to subscribe, rate, review, give us a thumbs up while you're here, and let us know if you happen to be watching along live who your Jam Star of the Game is. I like what Suns Geek says. He's probably gonna make a video about it because that's what he does. Jae Crowder, motherfucker. It's Jae Crowder. That's who I think it was.
It's
he was
Jae Crowder.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Honorable mention, Mikal Bridges. Crowder, boss man. I mean, that's the answer, right?
Yeah, it is. We needed more of it, but they didn't give it to him. It's kind of like the Aiden situation. Keep beating him the ball,
So looking at game 4 adjustments, Matthew, what do you think needs to happen for the Phoenix Suns to regain control of this series and go up 3-1 on the Dallas Mavericks on Mother's Day, mind you, at 12:30?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's don't turn the ball over 7 times in the first quarter. I would say
I
would
like
be a
this
good start.
one.
I'm being
This is a
smart
good one. Hey, this
Yeah.
smart aleck guy over here. Ever since he had a Bud Light with no corn in it, he's had that corn-free beer. He's a smart aleck.
I don't even know who I am anymore.
Who are you?
Keep doing what's working. So I think the Suns tonight, when they got away from going against, when they were trying to actually draw the fouls and the refs were actually giving it to them, they went away from it. They just stopped doing it. It should have been a constant thing. Keep going to what's working. This game it was Jay, and it was also the fouls, like 19 trips. Like that's not a lot, but that's a lot for the Suns, right? So you got to keep going towards that. So whatever's working is working. It wasn't working with Ayton tonight. It wasn't working with Booker. Those two if they can, of course, if they have good games, this is probably a win. But you have to feed the guys that are just keeping you interested in the game. Like Cameron Johnson seemed like he had the energy. I wish we would have saw more of him. I know he missed a wide open 3, but it didn't hit the next 3. But get him more involved too. Like these guys, it seemed like they had the energy, the level of intensity to match the Dallas Mavericks. Keep them in the game and keep them going. It wasn't that. It was more of just like slow the ball down. 16 seconds. All right, let's go. Like, you know what? It's like barely get the ball across the time stripe. That stuff drove me nuts. It's like in a game like this, push up the tempo a little bit, make Dallas a little bit more uncomfortable. I think Dallas was only uncomfortable like 2 minutes in the game, which was late in the fourth. That was it. And the Suns can make them uncomfortable quick. They just didn't do it tonight. So make them uncomfortable, get out to a hot start again, like they did tonight. It was a nice hot start, but then continue that and just limit the turnovers. That's it.
What can you do defensively?
Defensively,
Yeah,
man, I'm gonna tell you, dude. I don't think they're doing anything wrong defensively right now. I think their defense is fine. I think just grabbing the boards though, even though it sucks because they're always long rebounds, right? Do they have to have some guy like kind of play like free safety back there for those long boards?
I guess
Because that's the one thing that's killing the Suns. But defensively, I think they're doing a good job. I really do.
I just like obviously the Mavericks' primary thing in this game, their primary adjustment was we've got to get Jalen Brunson involved, and they did that again. 28 points for the guy. He shot a total of 21 times. Yeah, 21 shot attempts. He had 28 points in this game. You know, and you kind of look at what Jalen Brunson did in the first 2 games against the Suns in this series, and he wasn't nearly as involved, right? Like he had 16 shots in game 1, but he was only 6 of 16. He had 12 shots in game 2, but he was 3 of 12. So, you know, those 2 games combined, he was shooting 32% from the field. You know, this game, he's closer to 50, right? So defensively, that's got to be the adjustment for me is, again, make it tougher for Jalen Brunson to score. And essentially what they did is in the first 2 games, they got him in foul trouble, which was very smart. And tonight, they couldn't get him in foul trouble. So they had to kind of try to beat him straight up, and they just couldn't. So they've got to kind of find a way to just negate him. You know, maybe throw some blitzes at him because, again, you throw some length at him, and he might turn the ball over. I don't know. But, again, you're right. When it comes down to the performance by the Phoenix Suns, it comes down to the offensive end. It comes down to the execution. It comes down to kind of laziness tonight. And they had a shot to win this game. They just couldn't kind of get over that hump. We'll see what happens. I'm not scared in this series. I really am not.
I'm not even when you're talking about Brunson. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is like a Cameron Payne like epic game that and Brunson's been doing it good all playoffs all season long. But it's kind of like we're talking about like if someone was talking about the Suns, it's Cameron Payne. Like you got to stop Cameron Payne. That's how I feel. He's a good player. He's gonna get a good contract next year. It's not enough to scare you away. It's not enough at all. Like a Brandon Ingram.
No, you're right. You're right. Because Brandon Ingram could hit it all over the court, and I don't have that fear of Jalen Brunson. So it'll be interesting to see going into game 4 kind of what those adjustments are by the Phoenix Suns, both on offense and defense. Obviously, offense is to execute a little bit better, and defense, you know, kind of per Matthew is stick to the game plan. It's going to work. It's just when you're giving up second chance opportunities and you're turning the ball over and allowing them to get out in transition, bad things are going to happen, and that's kind of what happened tonight.
Thoughts? Brains?
Man, I had something really good to talk about on our thoughts, and I forgot to write it in my notes. The only thing I have written in my notes is it's a couple days old, but Donovan Mitchell's people report that put out a report saying that Gobert's comments about Booker's defense were taken as a slight by Donovan Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert's kind of in the it's him or me mentality coming out of Utah.
This is so stupid.
Isn't it funny how Devin Booker becoming good at defense is what's going to end the Jazz?
Yeah, but man, when I'm watching basketball, first of all, these guys are just such a babies.
I know.
They're the most dramatic people. It's just crazy how catered they are to each other, and like they're talking to the media about this guy's side of me. It's like, how is this even? And I always wanted to ask, like, who are these sources? Like when things like this happen, like who's that one guy standing in the room, be like, all right. Yeah, this is what's happening. Like, who's getting paid off? Like, who is that? Like, but they want to tip that stuff. Yeah, it's just such a weird thing. And these guys are just big crybabies, and they'll never change. Like, NBA players they're tough athletes. They are, but the way they look and the way they are just analyzed behind the scenes too, they're just made up to be babies, and they are. So it's just funny
it's just
to me.
Such a different mentality from the basketball that we grew
so
up watching.
weird.
And again, it sucks being like the old guy in the room, you know, but like back in the day, if your team got bounced from the playoffs like 3 or 4 times, like the Jazz have, that like bonded you and made you like. What I love about the Suns is I truly believe that Devin Booker, I mean, you saw it when he played the Timberwolves. He's like, I've got no friends. He's dunking on D'Lo. He's talking shit to Cat. I feel like the Suns have a bunker mentality where they're like, fuck everybody else. Where a lot of modern NBA players, they have a lot of those friendships, right? And a lot of those friendships are a modern thing. A lot of these guys grew up playing on the same AAU teams. You know, they've traveled together since they were 12, 13 years old. So it makes sense that they have a kinship and a friendship. And that's what makes this kind of annoying. And it allows all of the noise to come out of these different guys. Like whenever they aren't happy, they leak it through people. And, you know, everybody's so concerned with like, I've got to be happy all the time instead of going, okay, what can I do? It's got to be Rudy Gobert. It's got to be Donovan Mitchell. That's why I'm not successful. So it's a lack of accountability. And I was having a conversation with somebody today about how when you lose accountability, everything goes. Everything, you will not be successful. And, you know, again, working in my civilian job, I'm a manager. And one thing that I do is I hold my team accountable. I'm fun to work with. I have a good time. But at the same time, like if you're late to work, if you're coming in with, you know, unshaven or without pressing your uniform, like we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to annotate that conversation. And if I see it being a behavioral issue where you're doing it more than once every month, you know, we're going to have progressive discipline. That's called accountability. And some people, especially in the modern workforce, I know people in other organizations that as a managers don't hold their team accountable because they're too afraid to lose somebody. Like, well, I can't fire somebody because then we're short-staffed. It's like, but what you do by not holding people accountable is you create an environment that festers and people don't.
It's lax.
It's too lax, and people aren't showing up to work. Well, why? Because I cannot show up to work, and because I won't get fired because they need me more. And that's what the modern NBA has kind of become, where there's this lack of accountability, and because of that, they're blaming everybody else. And now it's like, well, I want out of this situation because nobody's putting me in a situation to be successful. It's like, how about you just get better? How about it's you? How about you're the issue? How about that?
As soon
how about you play defense better, Donovan Mitchell? How about you be accountable for
Well, look at these teams that are in it too: Boston, Milwaukee, Memphis, Golden State, Dallas, Phoenix, Miami, with the exception maybe with Philly. But all these teams are just drafted. I mean, you had Jimmy Butler added to Miami, but I mean Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, those are all just drafted players. Like these players are there; they don't want out right away, right? They're in a situation like John Brown, I'm in Memphis. I'm in Memphis, but still, it's like they play their best. They go out there and they try to win on their own, and until they get help through the draft or through free agency. And then I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but you look at the other teams trying to build like those super teams that aren't even really
they're not
anymore.
Successful because culture sucks.
Exactly, because they think if I go somewhere else,
that culture.
And if I go somewhere else, things will change. No, it doesn't. Like people that move out of state, like I need a fresh start. I'm moving to New Jersey. Texas, Austin. I'm going to Austin. Everyone's going there. Must be a great place. No, you haven't dealt with your own issues, dude. You got to deal with your own issues yourself before you can move on to anything and actually be in a relationship with other players. You know what I mean? Like you can't still have your same stuff. Like people don't change, players don't change, but you can absolutely improve. And these players don't do it. They don't. And what
they
Booker
want the
has done
easy
here,
out. Everybody wants the easy out, and everybody wants to play the victim mentality. It's like, well, no, like I wasn't put in a situation necessary to be successful. It's like, are you kidding me? They're paying you a shit ton of money. They want you there. They continue try to move pieces around. There's been some injuries. The Joe Ingles injury was really big, I feel, in Utah. So it's like, just give it another run, but it'll never work. And again, you go back to the Phoenix Suns organization. You look at Devin Booker, somebody who is beyond accountable and has always been accountable. And that's why these teams are successful. And you're right. The teams that are left in the playoffs, for the most part, have built their teams organically. And even the Phoenix Suns, like we did it by utilizing our assets properly and trading for Chris Paul. It wasn't, we're going to go sign the most expensive free agent possible.
But even that's fine. Even like Kevin Durant going to Golden State, that's what you're supposed to build your team, and then you can get the superstar if you want. Like, who cares? Like, I feel like they got so much shit for no reason. But even like fans like on Twitter are talking about, Suns wouldn't be here without Chris Paul. Doy. Like we would not be here without Chris Paul. Fact. Like there's no way. It's a team game, and like there's no reason to really hate on the Suns. We've been through a lot, and Booker stayed through it. And Booker's been that guy that can get these superstars here to play with us because of the way he plays. because he all he cares about is the game, is winning. Like, he cares about nothing else. You never hear him talk about anybody else, not being friends with this person or that person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in this circle. That's not Book. He's to himself. He knows who he is, and that's why players want to play with him. So lucky to be a Suns fan.
Yeah, amen. Because it's fun to be a fan of this kind of fan base, and it's the same thing with Dallas. Like, I do respect Dallas. They're trying to figure out how to be successful. Luka is a hard player to build around. He really is, because he's not a plus defender. He's a ball dominant player. Ryan Russillo a few weeks ago put together kind of a list of the guys with the highest usage rates and what their success rate is in the playoffs, and it's not good. It's not good. You go back to the early Jordan days where he had a high usage rate. Guess what? He wasn't successful. It wasn't until they put the proper pieces around him. So that's our thoughts. Blaze Megatron says, pressed uniform? Dan, Voida, never offered me a job, LOL. Yeah, press your shit if you come in. Like, you're being compensated to be there. Divine Intentions. Did you make your bed this morning, Voida? No, I didn't, because I don't get paid to make my bed.
But he doesn't sleep on a bed.
Yeah, I sleep on a day bed.
He sleeps on the floor.
I sleep on the couch. And then Blaze Megatron, welcome to the John Voida 12 Rules of Basketball Life podcast. LOL.
We should do that, like, just little self-help thing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's one of the things I'm super passionate about. I'm super passionate about leadership. I'm super passionate about teamwork in the workplace and things like that, like creating an inclusive environment. Like, I love things like that. And again, it all starts with accountability. I am 100%, and I don't ask anybody to do anything I wouldn't do. And I think that's what's always made myself and my teams successful, because I believe in that. And have fun at work. You got to be there.
And it's all about the naked HD in the comments. Honestly, bro, just got a website to jerk off to.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening, like, we keep getting trolled by this naked HD XYZ, bro. Just go website and jerk off. We keep having the black.
How do they know? I've given that up for a while. Like, I've been sacrificed. Now they're trying to. I think it's something from the devil, right? That must be the devil.
It's
devil getting mad at me.
It's the corn trying to get at you.
It's
the corn. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, again, we thank you for hanging out with us on the Suns Jam Session podcast. Hopefully on Mother's Day, which is Sunday, when the Suns play at 12:30, we don't have to play against Scott Foster. But if we do, go to our website. You can get a Fuck Scott Foster shirt right there on our bubble site. So we'd appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe, rate and review wherever you're consuming this podcast. Hit a thumbs up while you're here if you're hanging out on YouTube. And we will see you on Sunday afternoon.
Go home and love your family.